Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is here, everyone. Welcome back for more SPTV, where every day is a great day not to be in a cult. This one is too good not to share. I was sent the link to this article of a Scientology-Connected company accidentally, oopsie, hiring a North Korean hacker. What makes this hilarious to me is that this company is, this is a company that's very successful. It's called Know Before. And they actually, I got to put do not disturb on. I always forget. They are like an anti-hacking company. They're a cybersecurity company. They are a company that other companies hire to teach their staff best practices on computer security and cybersecurity. And the approach that they take is that the weakest link in your company isn't the tech infrastructure, it's the people. And they basically teach best practices on how to how to best deal with the various ways that people, through their careless behavior, provide opportunities for hackers. And the fact that there's even a remote connection to Scientology here is amazing. Because, by the way, there's another company founded by a Scientologist back in the day called Earthlink. And Earthlink was founded by Scientologist Sky Dayton. And because Earthlink was like one of the biggest internet service providers back in the 90s. And because Scientology had under its umbrella of companies available that it had access to through its high-level Scientologists, because they had an internet service provider and basically a company that was known as a white hat hacker, because Know Before hired one of the most famous white hat hackers in the world to work for it. And so even the local media, even the Tampa Bay Times was like, David Miscavige would be crazy to not use an internet service provider and a hacking company to do Scientology's dirty work for it. Now, I'm not aware of any evidence that was ever produced that these companies provided these services for Scientology to do its dirty work. But it's one of the reasons why when I saw this article, I'm like, well, we got to do a video about this. So check it out. Here is the Tampa Bay Times reporting. Clearwater firm Know Before accidentally hires North Korean hacker. Oopsie. The remote worker stole an American identity and shipped his company device to a laptop farm in the United States. Okay, super interesting. Before we read the rest of the article, I'll just show you. This is Know Before's website here. They were a publicly traded company. They went public in 2021. They were acquired by a private equity firm in 2023. So they're no longer publicly traded. And yeah, Stu Showerman is the CEO, is the founder and CEO. Here is Stu and his company Know Before being featured in a Scientology magazine. Freedom is one of Scientology's propaganda rags. They love to use their wealthy Scientologists and their celebrities. Stu is not a celebrity, but he's a wealthy Scientologist, to promote their propaganda. Here you can see, this is one of my older tweets, Stu and his lovely wife receiving an award from David Miscavige. He has donated over $65 million to Scientology, folks. That is not a typo. $65 million. Okay, so let's see what happened at Know Before. I think on the left is these are two images that were used in connection with the identity of the person. Oh yeah, look, the fake employee edited a stock photo headshot with artificial intelligence. Okay, so I'm going to guess neither one of those images is the actual hacker. Okay, the first sign that something was off, the moment Know Before's new remote software engineer opened his company laptop, the device started downloading password-stealing malware. The second sign, when the security team asked the new employee to get on camera and explain his predicament, he refused. Later, the Clearwater cybersecurity firm learned the new employee was a scammer from North Korea, collaborating with a laptop farm in the United States. In hindsight, the red flags started early, said Roger Grimes, Know Before's defense evangelist. The candidate, whose false name the company is withholding until an FBI investigation concludes, agreed to 4 on-video interviews, but his references, who purportedly supervised him at major companies all conveniently had boilerplate Gmail addresses. The candidate had the laptop shipped to an address in a different state than the one he claimed to live in. Now, guys, this one's a real easy one to armchair quarterback, but it's like the fact that the company is admitting that in hindsight, the red flags were actually very obvious. I sort of, on one hand, appreciate the honesty, but it is also problematic that a cybersecurity firm whose emphasis is on addressing the human weakness in cybersecurity is also admitting they don't have the proper checks and balances in place to catch what, in hindsight, were obvious red flags. But I almost don't know how to think about it. Like, they're being pretty transparent about the errors, but the errors are alarming. I mean, I guess being transparent is better than being dishonest, but I don't know. I don't know how to think about it. Okay, so it says, in hindsight, the red flags. Oh, no, we already read that one. The candidate had the laptop shipped to an address in a different state than the one he claimed to live in. Grimes still is not sure who the interviewee really was. He can count at least 3 nefarious actors in the plot. The American citizen whose identity the scammers used was in on the scheme. Wow, that guy's in trouble. He completed the in-person drug test that was part of the background check process. Like, so this is like a sophisticated scheme here. They got an actual American citizen to agree to participate in this and to actually show up for the in-person drug test. Once the background check was complete, an unknown person came to pick up a know-before laptop from a UPS facility. He offered an ID with the same name, but a different picture. Wow. Grimes suspects that the device was picked up by a member of the laptop farm, a data center allowing foreign actors to appear as if they're working in the United States while stealing data. That person was reporting back to a scammer in North Korea who may have had state ties. Wow. KnowBe4 locked the fake employee out of the company laptop before reporting the case to the FBI. Neil Katod, Chief Information Security Officer for Hayes, a recruiting agency based in Tampa, said downloading such an obvious password stealing software was a rookie mistake. Interesting. You wouldn't expect a state actor, someone working on behalf of the North Korean government, to make such a rookie mistake. But yeah, who knows? I guess you can't always be working with the best and the brightest. He could have just played the long game. He could have just played the long game and just slowly taken information and done the things they asked him to do such that he's trusted. But then you see this shift of, I'm trying to do things fast now that I'm in. Okay, this is a photo from Clearwater's KnowBe4 offices. The FBI confirmed that the scheme links back to a well-known North Korean data stealing scam. In Tennessee, a 38-year-old man was charged last week for his alleged role in helping North Korean government officials get hired for IT roles at American and British companies. At a national conference in Las Vegas, Grimes talked with 5 companies who had fallen victim to the same scam. One of them had encountered the exact same stolen identity. Some companies had data quietly siphoned away for months before they grew suspicious of their fake employee. Grimes wonders if someone botched the scheme at KnowBe4. We don't understand why they would take the huge risk of installing known malware. KnowBe4's rogue hire highlights the pitfalls of remote work for companies that hold valuable client data. See, that's kind of that's one of the things I was thinking about here. One of the things that seems like an obvious hole in the business plan of a company that is known to hire hackers, work with hackers, promote anti-hacking initiatives, is they're working with remote employees that they don't know. That's just wild to me. KnowBe4's rogue hire highlights the pitfalls of remote work for companies that hold valuable client data. KnowBe4 sells a phishing training interface that tracks which employees in client companies are most likely to fall for a phishing attempt. Local cybersecurity experts offered recommendations for how companies can secure their remote hiring process against rising foreign threats. Okay, conduct in-person interviews. In this case, KnowBe4 did that. It says, but the American collaborator in KnowBe4's case may have found a way to dupe even an in-person interview process, according to Grimes. Even if we said show up in person, they would hire someone to be that person. Also, the checking of the references is something that I was surprised. I was surprised that they failed, that portion of the hiring process, the people who are supervising and conducting that part of the hiring process for KnowBe4, failed to see and act on the red flags of all of this person's supervisors having basically the same style of email address. You would think for a company for whom the stakes are quite high when it comes to internal security, that's the part when I was reading this, it jumped out at me. Like, you admitted that? Like, I appreciate transparency, but in some cases you may not, as a corporation, you may not want to reveal that, or maybe you want to reveal that the person responsible for that has been let go, at least. Because I mean, admitting to certain things, whereas it's like, I mean, I sort of appreciate that, it still sort of telegraphs to everyone that, yeah, our processes are flawed. And if you're going to say that, you should also, I think, publicly say what you've done to rectify that. Otherwise, the honesty may not be appreciated by clients and investors. Okay, let's see. Ask around. Search for people from a prospective employees, former companies who are not listed as references. It's a protection against forged resumes. Keep employees visible and hiring processes connected. Grimes said his company has learned to connect different pieces of the background check process so that inconsistencies like different ID photos get spotted. And KnowBe4 did the right thing by having complete oversight on each click the employee made on the computer. Yeah, that is definitely a feather in KnowBe4's cap in this circumstance. Fake hires aren't the only scam threatening local companies. For a few local firms, foreign fishers have stolen credentials of payroll administrators to steer dollars into international accounts. One construction client of Rasmussen's lost $250,000 that way. Yikes. Let's see. It says, for one company infiltrated by a North Korean IT worker, something strange happened. The laptop firm sent the stolen device back. Attached was a yellow sticky note with the firm's name. Like the scammer had to remember where it had come from. Like it was just one among a sea of pilfered devices, all stolen to feed data to the highest bidder. Yeah, really more of an interest piece on this. The connection to Scientology I found interesting, especially since there has been so much paranoia among some very respected journalists who cover Scientology, that Scientology uses companies like this that are run by Scientology's highest level and wealthiest members. And if David Miscavige comes a knocking to a member like Stu Showerman, you've got to answer that door. If David Miscavige were to ask Stu Showerman to lend the hacking services of some of the expert hackers that they work with to Scientology, Stu Showerman would be in a very interesting predicament. You don't say no to David Miscavige. So the question is, would David Miscavige put one of his public members into that position by asking in the first place? Nobody really knows. It's very easy to say yes. It's very easy to say, of course he would. But I don't know. I can't say that with certainty. For his own self-preservation, it would be a tactical error for Miscavige to put some of his most profile, wealthiest, and most powerful members in a position of being on the wrong side of a federal criminal investigation. That would not be very strategic. But sometimes Miscavige acts in a way where it just seems like he just can't help himself. You know, he doesn't seem to be an amazing strategist and tactician. If he were, Scientology would not be one of the most rapidly shrinking religious groups in the world. Now, you guys know I call Scientology a multi-billion-dollar international family-destroying human trafficking cult. I don't make a habit of calling it a religion, but the IRS does consider it a religion. And as such, it is one of the most rapidly shrinking religious groups in the world. At its peak in the late 80s, early 90s, it had roughly 100,000 active members. And today it is closer to 20,000 to 25,000 active members. Perhaps you could make an argument for as many as 35,000 Scientologists in the entire world. That would be a very generous argument. It really is closer to 20 to 25,000 in the entire world. And if David Miscavige truly was an amazing strategist and a long-term thinker and a long-term planner and a good executor, no matter how horrible Scientology was, if David Miscavige was good at his job, Scientology would still be growing. And it's not. So we must conclude David Miscavige not really very good at his job. But he is very good at fooling a lot of the people most of the time. But that's not going to last forever. So we'll see, guys. TikTok. Okay, this might be the only video for me today. I've been taking it easy lately, and today's another day that I would like to continue taking it easy. So thank you, as always, for hanging out with me. Thank you to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.